G'day everybody, welcome back to Dune Awakening. Blue here, hope you're all doing well. As you can see, I'm wearing my, let's call it the scrappy stillsuit. It's not exactly the worst stillsuit out there, but it isn't as good as the Chome stillsuit that we have. And the reason why I'm wearing this is because I think today is the day that we are going to test out the Sandcrawler. Since, you know, in the previous episode we did make the centrifuge, so that should be done, and I should be able to just, you know, test it out, not only, you know, housing it in our new hangar, which I am very happy with, but also to test out whether or not we can do a solo harvest. So it might take a little bit of time, but I figure perhaps maybe at least showing you guys the process of doing a solo harvest on my own would be a good thing for the channel. But I've never done one before, so I've, you know, had a look at some tutorials and suggestions on how to get it done. I'm hoping we can get it done properly without obviously losing everything, but that is essentially the reason why I'm wearing this, is if we do lose stuff, then what I have with me is basically all of the gear that I'm happy to, I guess, let go of. There's a couple of things that I do want to just make sure that we tuck away though. So I've been lucky enough this week to get myself the circuit gauntlets, so I'm very happy with that. I've got, I think 3 out of 5 of the pieces of armor that I want for the end game. So obviously still working on the rest. Hopefully we'll get there. I've got a couple of other bits and pieces here which I don't really want to have to carry with me and lose, potentially. So I'll just drop these in to storage here. Why not? Since all of our machines seem to have the capability to store a few things. And I'm probably going to need some fuel, so let me just quickly grab some fuel, because we're going to need to refuel some of the vehicles that we're playing around with. So I'll just carry a couple of medium-sized vehicle fuel cells initially, because I also just want to test out how full the tank is going to be once we construct the Sandcrawler. So I might also need some welding wire, so let's just quickly grab that. So I've got quite a bit of welding wire, just in case, right? Just in case I need to do repairs and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, here it is, guys. So this is all that I'm bringing with me. I'm happy to lose all of this stuff if it happens. Even the Decalitojon. I probably should be repairing this, to be honest, but I'm hoping it'll last until our test is complete. But you know what? Maybe I should do the right thing and just repair it. It won't be too long. But I've got a couple of spare Decalitijons anyway, so, you know, if we do lose this, it's not the end of the world. But, yeah, I mean, even the Regis Sword, I'm happy to remake that if we need to, so it's not really so much of a big deal. But everything else, though, I'm not prepared to lose, so I'm sort of, you know, trying to mitigate my losses initially here. So, let's construct our Sandcrawler, and instead of doing what we did last time, which was to test the Sandcrawler out in the space that we've got for it, I am actually going to build it outside of the base initially, and then we'll pick it up with the carrier ornithopter, which will be a good test to see, you know, how that mechanic works. Oh, by the way, guys, and you may have noticed this in the previous episode, but I do have these Opifire gems, and I found these just simply lying around. Someone must have left them out in the deep desert. I have no idea what we use Opifire gems for. I haven't exactly searched, you know, the interwebs on what that's all about, but I'm assuming it's like some kind of endgame crafting material. But then, if it is, I mean, what would you craft using it though? Anyway, let's sort of circle back around to it. So I'm just gonna assemble it here. I'll be a little bit annoyed if a storm decides to come through at this exact moment. But yeah, let's just place it down, I say, there. Alright, cool. And we'll assemble everything else. Perfect. And then we just need that centrifuge, and then obviously we do need the vacuum as well. So centrifuge is ready. Let's pop this on. And I wonder if I can actually operate this thing without the vacuum. I assume maybe yes? But I'm just going to quickly grab that vacuum and then come back down and assemble everything in full. Okay, perfect. So, let's refuel this thing. And let's just see... Because, like, that'll take at least one of my medium-sized fuel cells, I assume. Okay, that fills it up just over halfway. And, that gives me a decent idea of how much fuel we're going to need to operate this thing. C to vacuum, I assume? So yeah, let's jump back out, and I'm going to now test out housing it. So it's kind of exciting, man. This has been a long time coming because it took us a very long time to build this place, but I'm glad that we're finally there. Okay, so we don't really have a lot of fuel in the carrier ornithopter either, but I'm sure we'll have enough to just do the test initially. We do have, you know, plenty of fuel in more fuel cells, and I think I've made a couple of large ones as well. But yeah, let's see how easy or how difficult it is to pick this thing up. Whoa. Okay. What happened there? Maybe I have to hold it. Oh, I see, I see. Okay. Yeah, very interesting mechanic indeed. Alright, so let's just see how easy it is to place this in the proposed position, which is just down here. Can I not lower the ornithopter? Maybe not while we're carrying the crawler. Anyway, let's place it down. Yeah, I mean that's the spot right there, right? So, oh, perfect. All right, brilliant. It is sticking out of the shield a little bit, so there is that. But I don't mind it. I don't mind. It's not too bad. Plus, it's not like our ornithopter is also completely covered either. So, you know, we'll definitely make it work. I'm pretty sure it's going to be out of like protected from the elements. Running on fumes. Yes, yes, I do understand. Yeah, so this is the real difficulty trying to like get our ornithopter into the base. I mean, I don't have to back it into the base. I kind of want to, you know. Come on. Come on. Oh, yeah. There we go. Come on. Yeah. And then I can sort of just like ease it in there. It's like we're doing a little bit of a dance. Perfect. Yeah, I mean, it does stick out a little bit. Let's inspect the sandcrawler. Beautiful. All right. Actually, is it even sticking out? No, it's completely covered. Yeah, that's perfect, actually. Just the right fit. Okay, so, the wings are clipping through that as well. All good, all good. The only thing that I need to prepare now is some more fuel, so that we can just simply refuel the carrier ornithopter. I am actually running really low on just pure fuel cells, so I probably need to try and get some more. But yeah, I've been making all sorts of other types of fuel so we can keep this place running. I've forgotten to top up on fuel cells. That's okay. I'll sort that out between episodes. But for now, I'm just really excited to pull in as much spice as possible, or at least test out how to do that. So yeah, I like the setup that we have here, because we can immediately go to the ornithopter from here rather than having to go up that way. And then if we ever do need to access the sandcrawler separately, we can do so as well. Alright, so let's just refuel initially, and we'll do one more. That will use one of the large ones. Yeah, so that should be enough to keep us going for at least like this test that we're trying to do. I don't think like if we go to medium spice field, which is pretty much our bread and butter at the moment, then you know we should be we should be done like pretty quickly before the fuel runs out, I assume. Yes. Ah, oh, beautiful. Oh, I'm so happy, guys, that we got to this stage. I mean, it took so much effort to get here. Yeah, I almost feel like maybe the series is going to be at an end soon, purely because I think there's no more story. So if there's no more story, actually, sorry guys, before we continue, there is one thing that I wanted to check on, because if I'm not mistaken, this thing does have a boost, right? Like, you can create a boost for the sand crawler, not the sand crawler, sorry, the carrier. So I'm just gonna see if I can check on that first. If we can just simply create that and attach it immediately, that would be fan-bloody-tastic. Yeah, thruster. I think that's what we're looking for. I don't think we have a thruster on it at the moment. So that pretty much consumes a lot of our improved Holtzmann actuators, but I can make plenty of those, I think. I've got more plasteel for it, if I ever need more anyway. But yeah, I think this is just gonna speed up the process for us. Speed up the process of getting around, that is. Alright, so assuming this just simply goes on the back. Okay. It's more like it's on the top. Yeah, there we go. Boost ability. Love it. Right. Let's get to it then. Now, I'm sort of debating in my mind, actually, around whether or not I should speed up the footage until we find a decent spice field, or, you know, whether or not we should just relax and do things normally. I reckon I'll probably cut and speed things up till we get to where we need to be. So, I'll see you guys when we get there. Okay, guys, we are in the deep desert looking for that sweet, sweet spice. Now, I've just had a thought here. There is a vulture mode on the carrier ornithopter, but we can't exactly use the vulture mode while we're carrying a crawler. So I'm wondering whether or not we really even need the thruster ability, because I mean, it does still give us a little bit of a boost there. Actually, it is quite a significant boost. So there you go. Maybe it's not such a bad idea after all. But yeah, we're going to have to manage our fuel reserves quite a bit, because I've just realized how much it's dropped, even to get us just over here, right? Which means I'm not confident that we can stay out for too long. But yeah, I reckon... Look, I'm just going to refill the tank one more time. That's all of our fuel. And if we get to about, I'm gonna say maybe a quarter, I think that's going to be bingo fuel for us, and then we're going to have to go back. Because, yeah, I don't want to be stuck without any fuel. So, let's hope for the best. But as I said before, we'll try and speed things up, try to find a decent place to harvest. Okay guys, so we have arrived at a potential location. I'm just looking at the terrain here. There are a few sort of dunes which might be a bit problematic, because it helps when you're dealing with some flatter terrain to make sure that you can essentially recover your ornithopter and your sandcrawler quickly. Another thing is, well, against my better judgment, we are in a PvP area, so I could get ganked, for all I know. I mean, I keep telling you guys that my experience so far has been that people are quite peaceful, even in the deep desert. And people sort of just mind their own business, leave you to sort of harvest your spice. But anyway, there's a couple of schools of thought here on how to harvest, and I'm going for maybe the lowest risk version, which is to do harvesting in a straight line. There are some people who suggest that you can sort of do it in a circular motion, provided that you sort of are disciplined on how many times you do a full sort of rotation, if that makes sense. But yeah, I'm just gonna go for the, hopefully, I don't want to say foolproof, because things could go pear-shaped, but I'm gonna go with the lower risk method. Let's get it done. So I'm just gonna park this right there. And then the idea is we want to place the ornithopter, and I think the best thing to do is perhaps maybe place the ornithopter there. So in case we do need to, you know, do our thing, we can do that. But yeah, let's start vacuuming here and see what happens. So I'm not sure how to vacuum works exactly, but... Okay, so I guess it just locks into place. So we do a straight line, and I sort of back up, and then readjust. So that we can continue to grab some more spice. We sort of continue in that motion. I don't know why the camera keeps sort of changing a little bit there for whatever reason. Okay, so that's a little bit of spice gathered. But I think it's probably a good idea for us to reset the aggro for the worm. So the idea is you want to get further enough away so that the aggro meter disappears completely. And that's it. Right, so we sort of continue with that process a few times and hope that we manage to gather up quite a bit of spice. So let's continue on, and let's see if we can gather quite a bit of spice here. I'd be curious to see how much spice we end up getting. The thing is, with a assault ornithopter, I am able to almost mine out the entire medium spice field, right? So I don't know if it's more beneficial for us to do this method. Oh, yeah. That's very unfortunate. Yeah, and I guess you can see the reason why it's preferable to have flat surfaces to work with, because the ornithopter, whilst not being operated, can slide to different positions, which is less than ideal. But yeah, what I found to be quite interesting, according to, I guess, let's call them experts, at least they're more expert than I am, having done tests and all that sort of stuff on the game mechanics, but apparently the sand crawler doesn't attract worms as much as, like, just simply walking around. So I guess it has some kind of technology to prevent worms from coming in. It's not foolproof, obviously, because worms are still attracted to you, but much less so than sort of walking around and trying to compact stuff. And speaking of compacting, if you are looking to do this sort of stuff solo, like I am, then apparently you want to avoid any fields where other people might be around doing their compacting, because the compactors, they really do attract the worms quite a bit, right? Like, as I've demonstrated in a previous harvesting video, you do have to avoid those worms constantly. But I guess such is the life of a duneman without actually having all the right tools to our disposal, such as sandcrawlers and carrier ornithopters. You sort of need to make do. Ooh, we've got a yellow glow there. I'm not entirely sure what that means on the back. Yeah, just watching those fuel levels as well, just in case. I keep thinking that this thing is on fire or something like that, but that's just actually sand being, I guess, extracted and released, because all we're trying to collect is the spice, right? So it makes a lot of sense. So let me just have a look at how much storage we've got. I mean, look at that. We've got plenty more storage. We've almost made as much as what we normally make with a assault ornithopter run, which is really quite encouraging, to be honest. Let's maybe drop it, actually, sorry, let's drop it on that side, and then I'll park right here. Yeah, this is turning out to be really, really good. Again, knock on wood, let's not jinx it, shall we? Yeah, slow and steady. Not going to change up my methods anytime soon. So I think this is working for us. Oh, it's gone green now. Again, I really don't understand what's going on with the colors there. I don't know if it has something to do with, like, efficiency. Yeah, let's stop there. Okay. Now, I guess we should clean up all of the edges here. Why not? It's free spice. So drop that there and park you there. I just really hope that we don't end up sliding down. Yeah, the Shigawire Claw is just so versatile, isn't it? I'm so happy using it. But to my surprise, guys, I did talk to you guys about how I was, you know, kind of not entirely sure about, like, the Bene Gesserit skills. After having needed to fight a whole bunch of enemies for, you know, house rewards and stuff, I can actually confirm that they're actually pretty good when used properly. Especially Compel and Stop. It basically just lets you get some free hits on some enemies, which is really nice. The only thing is, well, you know, in some higher level areas, particularly in the deep desert, because I have done a little bit of testing in the deep desert, you may not have the chance to get those hits in, considering the amount of enemies that you're dealing with and the amount of damage that they do to you. So I guess it may still come down to, you know, what sort of armor and what sort of weapons you may have to try and deal with the situation. But yeah, I take some of my comments back around, you know, Bene Gesserit skills being kind of meh. Because it turns out they're actually quite good. Alright. Let's reset. So one thing that I'm not entirely sure of as well is what happens when we have to contend with a storm. I suppose because we don't exactly have any bases set up in the deep desert, we may just have to bite the bullet on taking some level of damage to our vehicles. Maybe. Okay, this thing's going to slide down a little bit. That's not the greatest. There's just a little bit of a streak here right next to the ornithopter, which I'm trying to get to, but... Okay. I think that's good enough. Let's reset once more and... So I think what I can do is I can maybe set this down right on top of the spice. Like, say, right there. It might slide down a little bit, though. Oh, actually, that's pretty good. And then I think this is pretty flat over here, so we should be pretty good. As long as I'm working towards the ornithopter, I think we shouldn't really have too much of an issue. Oh, no. The more we have to, like, run on the sand, the worse off it is for us. The more likely we are to attract some sandworms. Yeah, there are some quests that do sort of try to teach us how to survive in the deep desert, like this one that I've got tagged at the moment, logistical issues. It basically sort of asks us to build a base out in the deep desert, and I really don't know if I want to do that or not. Because, yeah, I mean, I don't want to have to pay for another sub-thief. I'm pretty content just, you know, doing our thing and operating out of the Haga Basin. Plus, I want to spend more time at our actual base, right? Because our permanent base kind of looks nice. We've spent a lot of time on it. So, that's sort of where I'm at with it. Alright, let's quickly drop you... Oh, whoa, 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 okay. That's... kind of nearby. So... I'm just gonna observe that and just make sure that we're not in trouble, so... Okay, it's probably eating some kind of a wrecked ship or something. There goes another one. Perhaps there could be another player out there doing something. Oh no, another wreck, I think. That's what's going on there. Yeah, a few wrecks nearby. Yeah, I feel like that worm might be a bit problematic. It could circle around to us. But... gotta take a little bit of risk for the rewards. Let's drop you off there. And... I'd say... I'm just gonna pop this down here. I think this is a decent enough spot. It doesn't look to be sliding or anything, so... Yeah, what I'm finding is it's kind of difficult to get into the crawler. You sort of need to make sure that you're interacting with the cockpit. The cockpit? The driver seat area. Cabin. You can't just simply interact with the centrifuge. Alright, I think that's it for this little sort of section there, and then I'll clean up all of that as well. Maybe I'm being a little bit too clean about all of this. I'm wanting to try and get all of the spice, but I mean, since this is our very first run using the sandcrawler, I sort of just want to use this as a practice run to see what is possible. So I'll swing by this way a little bit. Gather up what remains over here. And then I think I'll do a complete UE right here. Ooh. It's another spice blow somewhere. There. We could be in luck. If it's a big enough spice blow, we could just pivot there. Even if it's a small spice blow, I don't mind. I don't mind just simply grabbing that, because it's free spice. Plus, I think a lot of players tend to ignore the smaller spice blows. Oh my god. Okay, that's probably a big one over there. Do we go for that? I'm just looking at fuel. We're looking okay for fuel. Okay, I mean, this is great. We got here first as well. I think everything's aligning. The only thing is we are still in a PvP area. But I'm willing to risk it for the biscuit, so let's do it. Again, I guess the only thing that I'm really worried about is fuel. So there could be a need for us to potentially go back without having harvested all of this. Let's just do a quick adjustment there, back up a little bit. We are low fuel on our harvester as well. Yeah, which is pretty much going to force us to stop. So the noises that the spice blow makes itself is a little bit scary, isn't it? Like, sometimes gives you a false impression that you might be in danger. Okay, let's just reset stuff. Ready to go again. Oh no, that's horrible. Board. Oh, okay, that's interesting. There's a little step on the side of the treads. Very cool. Nice little detail there. One thing that I want to do actually is just check on how much we actually managed to get. That is a lot of spice. Okay, very happy with that system. Let's just chill out a little bit. And you know what? I reckon maybe this might be our last one. Just because I'm a little bit worried about having enough fuel in the ornithopter to get back, so might need to be extremely careful not to go too high in altitude. I feel like when I'm backing up to try and gather more spice, I feel like I'm leaving quite a bit behind. Perhaps maybe it's better to just, you know, harvest spice by moving forward. That might be like more efficient or something. You might pick up more spice that way. Okay, I think we're done here. And I think it's time for us to head back home. I actually wanted to check how much spice we had in that. But that's okay, I can do that when we get home. So we didn't completely fill the tank. But that's okay. We don't have to. Now it's just really about getting home. So I'll see you guys when we actually get there. Right guys, we've just loaded back into the Haga Basin, and unfortunately, I am running on fumes on the ornithopter. So, I don't even know if I'm going to be able to make it to base. Oh no, okay, we are out of fuel. Alright. So that was very lucky that I didn't get stranded out at the deep desert, but I suppose even if that were to happen, all I needed to do was to sort of go back home, perhaps maybe make some fuel, and then bring that fuel back out to my ornithopter. But it does feel a little bit worrying leaving such, you know, expensive equipment out there into the elements, and also potentially to the harm of other players. Granted, I did manage to get to the, you know, PvE area, so I suppose things would have been safe, but still, it is a bit of a worry. And I think every instance that I go into the deep desert is the same one, which means I could probably leave equipment there if I needed to. Anyway, sorry guys, let me focus up and just grab myself some more fuel, and let's recover all of our stuff. I should have some fuel lying around somewhere. Yeah, here we go. We've got a couple more large vehicle fuel cells, which should do the job. So there's one last test that I want to try and do here, which is to just make sure that we can actually move the spice, like we can actually intake that spice directly into are refineries, because I believe that's the case, right? Like, you won't need to spend time moving across spice into storage. I hope you won't, because that would be a bit of a pain to do. But anyway, let's get back in, drop this fuel in. Yeah, even one large fuel cell barely fills this thing, so I'm gonna need to make heaps and heaps more fuel. So yeah, all things considered, you know, that was a decent spice run. I just need to be a little bit more prepared on the fuel front before I actually do it again. And am I comfortable enough to go in with some of our proper equipment, like better still suits and stuff? I don't know. I still don't trust myself enough to, you know, bring like important things with me, such as like really good weapons and all that sort of stuff. Like, I'm willing to lose a drill shot and a Regis sword, but other than that, I kind of want to make sure that we're still, you know, safe. But anyway, let's place this in its parking spot, which is... Oh, why can't I place it down? Is it because I'm overheated? Does that affect us picking up the thing? Maybe. Let's try that again. Yeah, okay, so when you're overheated, you can't pick up crawlers or place them back down. Try and fit it in nicely. Oh, that is so good, so perfect. And time to park this ornithopter as well. Alright, are we in the right position? I think so. That looks pretty straight to me. Now it's just time to back this in. And we can just edge our way in. I think that's probably the furthest away that we can get it in, so that's fine. And time to just inspect. That's a lot. I think normally, if we're using the assault ornithopter, probably this is the limit. So this is almost double the amount that we normally get from the assault ornithopter run. And we can get even more, right? We can basically quadruple our harvesting output, which is really cool. The next test. Let's try going to the refinery and seeing if we can pull directly. I think we can. With that 6,000 spice sand. I think that's how much we... Is that how much we have? Unless
Weather alert. A large sandstorm is approaching.
Had done a spice sand run prior to this, and I can't recall doing that, but let me just double check. No, we didn't pull from here. Why is that? I guess maybe I do need to move the spice sand somewhere else. I suppose that's okay. We can make it happen. So... yeah, that's what I want, right? Like the medium storage.
Sector weather alert. A large sandstorm is approaching.
Okay. Let's just get that built. And yeah, I suppose every time we do this, we're going to have to do a little bit of an exercise of moving things across, which is... look, it may be a little bit painful, but all things considered, I don't mind it. But yeah, we're going to have to do this every single time. Shame. Shame, but unavoidable. Alright, I'll do that in my own time. So I just wanted to double check on whether or not we've got enough water to process even more spice. Yes, we do. We've got plenty of water.
Alert. A large sandstorm is approaching.
Let's drop that in. I could probably go with even more if I wanted to. Alright. Yeah, this has been a really, really good, successful run, and I'm very happy with the outcome. The only things that we really need to do now are sort of, you know, rearranging some of the rooms that we had designed initially for this home, because now we've got a lot more dead space which needs to be populated. So we also have you know, plenty of decorations which we haven't exactly played around with just yet, and it might actually be a good idea for us to, you know, think about decorating sometime soon as well. And then there's lighting. So lighting is going to be a bit of a problem. So I might, in this episode, do a little bit of a pass on where I can steal some lights from, so that we can then utilize those lights in different locations, obviously. So yeah, sorry. Can't help myself. Just wanted to do a little bit of that work. Right, so... I'm thinking some of these lights could go. It does make the place feel quite bright, which is nice. But I can't afford to keep them there, I feel. Let me just take a look at our lighting options. So I've got another 3 that I could place down. The question is, like, would I be happy if I placed down lights right here? And the reason why I ask that is because, well, it just feels like these corridors are pretty dark. Then there's this room. Like, I've got the light going on up top over there, but I'm sort of questioning if that's a decent spot for it, because once we get the ornithopter in, it's actually not noticeable, right? Like, this place is pretty dark. And the ornithopter actually has some lights of its own, so perhaps maybe... I don't know. They don't really provide that much light, though, do they? Yeah, I'm sort of needing to rethink a lot of this. Let's experiment a little bit. And when I say experiment, I mean I'll place down a few of these things as my initial sort of solution. But it doesn't mean that we're going to permanently keep these things here. Are we happy with these lights, or do we want other types of lights? Because another way we could do it is we could have, like, these lights instead. But sometimes I feel like these types of lights are not as bright as some of the other ones. But I feel like it makes a lot more sense to have one of these. Okay. I think that works. Though now I'm sort of looking at, like, these areas here, which seems to have, like, pockets of darkness. Well, this side seems okay, probably thanks to the lighting that we've got going on in the corner over here. Whereas this side is looking pretty dark. Not enough lighting on this side. So, let me see what happens if we just simply remove these. Okay, it's not too bad, thanks to the chandelier that we have. This area is looking pretty dark though, so I'm thinking we probably want to do something similar, have some lighting in the corner over there. These fabricators are likely going to move, I just haven't decided where just yet. And yeah, perhaps maybe we're gonna have to utilize some of this space over here. I mean, I'm fine with that. Another idea, and look, maybe it's just about me playing around with all of this, but we could potentially place some of these fabricators in this area. So instead of having all of our fabricators in the main building, we can have it in this building, and that way we can free up the main building to actually be like a residence instead of using it for any form of production. Maybe. It's just an idea. Do we need some lighting in this room? I don't know. It's a bit tricky. And if we do get some lighting in here, what kind of lighting? It's another good question. We could potentially get one of these in. Or I wish we could just, like, place this on any flat surface. I don't know if something like that makes sense. But then you could argue that you would need, like, another 2 lights above the other entrances, which will immediately eat up our lighting count, which is not what we want. This room is also problematic. Like, this room is completely dark. Doesn't have any lighting whatsoever. I feel like maybe a chandelier could be good. Maybe. Although it's such a small room, like, is it even worth putting some lighting in here? I could potentially get, like, a floor light. Like that. And that doesn't look too bad. Or I could put it on this side. And that sort of gives us a little bit more lighting. I guess it doesn't exactly do that, does it? I think it's probably better on this side, after all. There. Alright, where else? Where else can we steal lights from? I kind of like the idea of having lights on the tables here. But I'm feeling like they might be redundant because of the amount of lighting that we already have. I don't know about these. Do we have something similar on the other side? No. So maybe we can steal those lights. Yeah, I think that might work, because we're still getting enough light from all of the other lights that are in the area. Maybe this is a little bit dark over here. We could do like a floor light right here. That's pretty decorative only, right? Like the floor light. But I feel like it's important because if we take that away, this little pocket is going to be dark. I don't really want that. Yeah, this area is also a little bit dark, isn't it? Ah, it's so difficult. It's so difficult deciding where you want to use your lights and where you don't need to. I like these lights on the outside, denoting our entrance points. Yeah, sorry guys, this is ending up being a bit of a build episode towards the end. I think we've got the right amount of lighting here. This tower definitely needs quite a bit of lighting as well. Can get dark pretty quickly. I wonder if we can maybe remove this. It becomes quite dark on this side, doesn't it? Which is, yeah, potentially problematic for us. I don't think it looks very nice without the light, but... arguably, it's a little bit dark on that side where the chemical refinery is. And there is a lot of lighting in this area, which is not achieving very much yet, but we do have plans to actually have the large spice refinery. I'm just looking at what's required for this thing, because this is sort of the endgame territory, right? 950 plastanium, we've got a long way to go. Silicon blocks. That'll be very easy to make. The spice melange, now, that's sort of what we're working towards with the crawler, right? So, now that we've got the crawler, it's going to be a lot easier for us to get to 1,000 spice melange. Cobalt paste. Yeah, cobalt paste is going to be easy. Advanced machinery. I don't think that's going to be too difficult either. So, yeah, we should be able to make things happen. What about the garage? I reckon maybe we could do stuff in the garage. There's a bit of lighting here. The building is quite tall, which is why I've got quite a lot of lighting in here. I don't think we need 2 of these. We'll probably get rid of those. Maybe we do want to retain at least 1, though. It just feels a little bit weird placing this, like, smack bang in the middle. But I guess I don't really have much of a choice. We either do that, or... oh. I think we can do better with placement of these. There we go. And now that we've done that, I reckon we could maybe either place this back down here, or I think it's probably better to have one of these. Generally speaking, these suspender or suspensor lamps, they produce a lot of light, which I quite like. So yeah, I think that works. We could perhaps maybe get rid of one of these, or do we just keep them? How many do we have to, like, play with now? 6 lights. Yeah, that's pretty good. Alright, all things considered. So maybe I don't need to, like, steal too many more. We've got another 6 to work with. So we can try to balance things out. I reckon we ought to place some lighting over here. It just seems a little bit dark in this corner. I think that works. We either do that, or another idea is to place a suspensor lamp right here. So I think that provides a little bit more light compared to the wall lamp. Yeah, I think that looks good. Pretty happy with this space, so I'm just gonna leave it as is. Maybe I can put the lamp over there, back again. So yeah, so we've got 5 more lamps to work with, or 5 more lights to work with, rather. Question is, where do we place them? Yeah, with the sun coming up, it's probably not the best time to judge whether or not the lighting is being effective. So I kind of got lucky towards the end of this episode, right there, that we were finishing up, you know, towards, well, leading into the night. So all things considered, I think we may wrap up here, guys. I know it may have been a little bit of a slow episode for some people if you're not really into spice gathering, but I was very excited to test everything out and finally make use of the carrier and the crawler. So I'm very happy with myself, and I'm very happy with the amount of spice that we now have as well. So I'm just gonna keep chugging away at making spice and some other materials, and perhaps maybe in the next few episodes we may have our large refinery done. I'm also working towards the endgame gear as well, right? Because I kind of want to use that to then head out to the deep desert and do a few solo dungeon runs, if we can do that. So we'll see how we go. Thanks for sticking around, guys. If you've been here watching along from episode 1, really do appreciate you guys being here. Definitely drop that like down below, stay true, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.